What is up, Facebook land? Welcome to another edition of the 2 Dates and a Dash podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cubbler. And before I introduce my very special guest, my good friend, John McKenna, I want to first, as always, dedicate a show. And this time I'm going to be selfish again. I'm going to dedicate this to my daughter, Rebecca, who turned 21 today. Many of you have heard me speak or heard me share my story about the depression I went through after my brother died, and how I was in a really dark place. And it's unfortunate, but my daughter and my wife suffered the most through that because I was not able to be the type of person and type of father or husband that I needed to be. And luckily, I am able to do that now. And I have a fantastic marriage and an amazing relationship with my daughter. And I've been very open with both of them about what I went through. And it's very important that my daughter knows that I love her and that I'm very proud of her. And that for the last 21 years, she's made me very, very proud. And she's going on to her championships, college conference championships this week, the PSACs, Pennsylvania State Athletic Conference. And I'm hoping she does very, very well. I was just texting with her. And so this one goes out to my daughter, Rebecca. Happy birthday, baby. My podcast, where can you find it? Obviously everywhere. iTunes, Stitcher, CastBox, Anchor, Spotify, anywhere where you listen to a podcast, you can find it. 2 Dates and a Dash podcast. If you get a chance, like and review it, and subscribe, obviously. So, all right, my man, John McKenna. We met about 3 years ago. We had a guy who was doing our sales for Max Out and was bothering the hell out of Coach to come check out the Max Out Tower at our location. And after a while, he just relented because of his persistence, and he showed up, and he really enjoyed being with me and Jason and seeing the tower and seeing what it could do, so much so that he bought one. And then that one turned into 3. And then after now today, that 3 turned into 5. And we've become very, very good friends. He's a mentor to me, somebody I look up to. He is a legendary strength and conditioning coach. We installed some equipment out with the Steelers last year. And when I mentioned that John McKenna had bought some towers, they said, from Notre Dame High School in New Jersey? So apparently even the Steelers guys know who Coach McKenna is. So in the strength and conditioning world, he's a legend. He's been a strength and conditioning coach for 18 years at Notre Dame High School in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. Prior to that, he was a police officer. He retired from police work and went to Notre Dame. He is the director for, used to be the Northeast region now. You were just New Jersey. Now you're Northeast region for the National High School Strength Coach Association. He is married to his wife, Charlie. He's got amazing kids, grandkids. He is just an all-around great guy. So without further ado, my buddy, John McKenna. How are you doing, brother?
Man, I'm doing great. And I can't tell you how thrilled I am to be here. I've been waiting for this for like a month and a half.
Well, I'm excited, brother. I try to keep it very diverse, the people that come on the show. And yeah, it's great to have, famous people, Mickey Ward and all that stuff. And I love talking to everybody, but what I really want to do is I want to highlight just amazing everyday people that are doing unbelievable stuff in their communities, and especially you, because you're doing it at your school in a way that no one's doing across the country. And I just find it an amazing opportunity for me, and I'm blessed to be able to share stories like yours.
Well, the first thing I want to, and I've got to get this out there because everything I do is in God's name, because that's what I'm about. I'm at Notre Dame High School in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. It's a private Catholic high school, and they let me rock the world here. We have a weight room that I guess you could call it old school, but new school. New school is old school. We have a little bit of new things, old things, but I believe in work ethic, and we have some values down here. And we were talking earlier. I said one of the big things I have, that certain things kids have to understand when they come down here. It's not about you. It's not about me. It's about others. So you care about everybody else, and we believe in strong mind, strong body, strong faith, and equals a strong life. And I think the day and age of a strength coach, just being that strength coach, worried about how big our biceps look and, how much we squat and everything, it's important, but it's not the all thing you're looking for. I want to develop the whole body. I mean, we're proud here. We have one of the biggest Catholic Athletes for Christ groups. In the Diocese of Trenton. We average about 250 kids a meeting. We have prayer groups now with football and our boys lacrosse, and they're the things that make me proud. My job is to make. We used to say it used to be a male-dominant weight room, but it used to be better men, but better people, because we have as many females in here, and you've been in the room when we've been working, and as we do men. We're here to make them better people, to give them a tool for their toolbox, and that's what I am. I always talk about having tools in your toolbox, but we're here to give them more tools.
I think you obviously have a luxury a little bit of being in a Catholic school, so faith can be an integral part of the process. And I think in some public schools, obviously you can't bring faith in too strongly unless it's in some academic format. But the reality is faith can be almost anything, right? If you think about it, just a value bigger than you, something that you're doing that's outside of just you. If you're doing something to help other people, that's a bigger thing that you can reach for. And it can be a substitute in some places where we can't use the word faith or have Christianity or Catholicism or any of those things come into play. We can talk about spiritually just being better human beings and helping the world be a better place. And I think that's part of something that when I want to roll out at some point in time is your program, my program, combining those programs and putting them out into public schools. And we're going to talk about that later, but it's such an important part to give these kids an ability to see the bigger picture, know that there's a greater purpose in life than just getting up, putting on your makeup or brushing your teeth and going to school and going to practice and doing your homework and going to bed and wash, rinse, repeat, right?
That's right. And, we go back and we even talk about public school and not even a mention about faith. But the first thing I said, it's not about me. It's not about you. It's about others. And that's what I think we've forgotten in our world now is that we are here to help others. And then it'll come back to you 10 times over. And, every day I get up, I got this thing now that I'm 64 years old now, so I've been around. But I'm actually 23,600, and I think it's 47 days old. I've been given that many gifts from God to come and make a difference. So why would I want to get up in the morning and waste that time and not make a difference and make this a better place? Because who benefits? Everybody benefits, but personally, my kids benefit, my grandkids benefit. So if I can do that little bit of changing things and making it a better place, I've helped my own grandkids, my own kids, but I've helped all the kids. And, I've got an extended family that is unbelievable. I call all my athletes that come in this room extended family, and they are family. I've got sons all over the place. I love when I get to go to their weddings. I've got daughters all over the place, and that's what it's about. We become a family down here. Some people call it a cult, because we do different things out here. We do them together. We eat lunch together down here. We've become a family together, and I think that's what we got to get back to. We got to get back to the simple things. On a very small level, I know kind of what you feel on a daily basis through Max Out and working with the kids that I work with and mentoring the kids that I mentor. I know the value of being a part of a kid's life and forming their attitude and their work habit and their ethics and their appreciation for others and helping be a part of that. And one of the cool things is when they come back, right? When a kid graduates high school and goes to college and, for me, stops in the studio, and first thing they do when they get back is they go see mom and dad and come over and see me, and they give me a hug and they just want to tell me everything that's going on in their life. And I was blessed enough when we were over a couple weeks ago, dropping off the two towers, that we were talking and I saw this African-American male come in with a big high top fade, and he goes, shh, and he didn't want me to say anything. And he snuck up behind you and he put his arms around you and you saw his hands you said, I know those hands. And it was Taekwon Underwood. Tell us about Taekwon. Taekwon played here at Notre Dame. We'll talk about the kid you want to throw out as a success story, and you can't go in that adding his uncle what he did for him because he raised him. But Taekwon was living up in New Brunswick, and to get to here would take 2 or 3 buses to get to school. Now, we lift at 6 o'clock in the morning. I can't remember him ever missing a lift at Notre Dame High School. Made every lift, made everything. Then it got to a point his uncle would drop him off at my house, and I would come out, and it'd be cold. He'd be laying on my chaise lounge out front. I said, what are you doing? And so we eventually gave him a key. And then he got to know my dog, and I'd wake up, and he'd be down there because his uncle had to go to work early. Talk about a self-made man, he just took, he's a kid that could have gone, oh, woe is me. Things are bad for me. Oh, and no, he found a way to get better. He found what he wanted to be. He worked hard. Now, then I don't mind helping you, because if you want help, man, I'll be there all the time for you. And so will all the other people in this building. And there were other teachers that did as much as I did for him. And he just developed into a great kid. He went on the Rutgers, played there, had a nice career there. And his character really showed out. And I'll never forget this. New England, he's playing for New England in the league. And he gets cut the night before the Super Bowl because they had to have another player, whatever the reasons are. And he handled it with so much class. There's where a typical athlete would have said, they did me wrong. They did this to me. Not him. Took the high road and said, look, it was better for the team, what needed to be. And that's what it's about, and he understood that. Then he went play in Canada. He was just out of Lafayette, and he had come in to tell me that he had told his family and everything, but he wanted me to hear from him that he had just taken a job with the Miami Dolphins. And I was so proud of him and everything, but even more proud that he took the time to come in and see me and tell me before I heard it on the street.
It's those kinds of stories that I don't think people recognize. When you're looking at high school dynamics, especially, you have teachers who have their kids, they have 30 kids or whatever they might have in a class. While the principals and administrators are overseeing the whole school, they don't necessarily have relationships with every kid in the school, if any. And then you have the band directors and the drama teachers and the choir directors and all the people that are in the specialty elective courses, and then the coaches, the football coaches, all the other sports coaches. But they only get their segment of the school population. The kids that are in band are the only ones they get. The kids that are in football are the only ones the football coach gets. You get them all. You get every kid that wants to come down to the dungeon and be part of the John McKenna cult, as they may say, and you give them you at a 1,000,000%. And what I saw when I first came there, and I'll tell this story now. I'd never met you other than the time when you came to Max Out, and it was great, and you seemed like a great guy. But other than that, we didn't have any other real connection. And I came out to install the first tower. And I remember watching every one of those kids come in, knowing that they have a job to do that day. And you would yell, Robbie, go get the tires, bring them into the back room, and so, go get the kettlebells, set them up, blah, blah, blah. And these kids were just like, yes, coach, yes, coach, yes, coach. And they set everything up, and you gave everybody their workouts, and everybody was working with each other, and everybody was helping each other. And there was this whole big, familial, and there was 60, 70 kids at a time coming in. This is all day long. And I thought to myself, I said, he is the only person in a school that can connect with every single kid if the kid is given the opportunity to come down there, right? And for me, that was eye-opening. I had written a program 6 years before I ever met you on how I was going to go into schools and do leadership development and anti-bullying. And I wanted to figure out a way to put me in every one of those schools. Obviously, that's impossible. And then I thought, okay, how do I get people like me to go into schools? And I thought, well, I'm never going to be able to give up control of this to just anybody or try to train anybody to do it, because I learned my lesson when we tried to franchise Max Out. And that failed miserably because I couldn't figure out how to get me, the passionate Max Out evangelist, into every Max Out. So I just put it on the back shelf. And then when I met you and I went into your school, I said, holy crap, he's actually doing the thing that I thought of every single day and living it. Like he's living that dream that I've dreamt. And I see these kids and they're all leaders, whether they identified or not. Every single one of those kids had a leadership quality, just an air of confidence about them that had me mesmerized. And I think nobody really understands what a strength coach does. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about what you do on an annual basis at Notre Dame and in your community. Let's talk about it.
Well, one of the things that we have to go back a little bit, because I owe the credit to the way I am and everything. It's to my wife, Cheryl. We call her Charlie because she don't want to be a grandmother, so she's a Charlie. So, but probably the greatest person in the world, my best friend, everything. But she taught me a long time ago that every child is special. And that resonated with me, that every child is special. Everybody that walks into this weight room is special. And I believe if you could really believe that, hold that in your heart, that's half the battle. because we've all got to think, wow, we just work with the stars. We just work with no, work with everybody. Because to me, everybody's a star. And I aim to make a difference in everybody's life that comes in this room every day. And you got to be the total package. And that's not easy. This job for me ranges from 4:30 in the morning till most nights, 7 o'clock at night. Here we are. It's going to be 7:30, 8 o'clock at night. And today was an off day. I only worked 8 hours probably today because of an off day. But guess what? I've never worked a day in my life. This is a passion for me. I love this. I mean, I was a police officer for 22 years. And I have a really strong feeling for all the patriots that give their time and everything. Well, I did the job, the military, firemen, everybody, and I try to give back to them. And you know of my tie with the Trenton Fire Department. I've got my big axe back here that they gave me for running the recruit class and everything. I love that, but it's my way of giving back. But it's a full day. I've not only got my kids here. One thing I've done, all the things I've been involved, Exeter, the fire department, the National Guard when I trained them when they went to Afghanistan, all the little things that I've done, I've never neglected the kids at Notre Dame. This is my home. This is the place. And yes, has my family sacrificed at times? Absolutely. And that's a coach's wife, that's coach's kids. But I'll tell you what, maybe that's why all my daughters, my sons have coached at one time or the other, because they embraced what I did. So what we do down here is we teach them, we walk the talk. And they look at me and they know that I get involved with other things, with the Trenton Fire Department, military. We go out and help the homeless. We help the local churches and everything. And we do all those things. And that's what I expect our athletes to be about here, the total package all the time. And not just do it to do it with a passion. Love what you do. I mean, I love what I do. I tell you, I was all excited when I woke up this morning knowing I was going to get to do this with you. It excited me. Not because I'm on talking to you. It's because I get a chance to promote the greatest place to me in the world, to give me an opportunity to be who I am is Notre Dame. So this is another way for me to highlight my kids. Today, when you came in, how about Robbie Bucher coming right up to you? Hey, how you doing? You're shaking that hand. That's what it's about here. And we couldn't find, and we have all kind of kids like Robbie Bucher. We got Concrete Charlie McCabe. We got and I give them all names and everything, but they're great kids. But they follow the path, and once they get it, it's just so much fun to watch.
And now I'm going to ask you this, and I think we've talked about it, but I don't know for sure. But so for me, like when I started mentoring kids at Max Out, and I've been mentoring kids as a cop for years, as part of just that's what you do as a cop. You reach out, you see the kids that's struggling, or you might have done something stupid, and you try to take them under your wing, and you just keep an eye on them. But when I started mentoring at Max Out, what I realized initially before I started mentoring, I was just a strength coach, and I was just trying to help them achieve a physical goal within a sport or whatever. And then all of a sudden they started trusting me with other information and asking me questions about life stuff and school and family and future. And then all of a sudden I realized that I have this amazing opportunity to really impact people. And I get it on a very small level, just the people that come to Max Out. You've got, 1,000 kids potentially at your school that potentially could be influenced by you. And I think when you look at education today, and it's a little bit different in Catholic school than public school, but anymore education is more driven towards a test result, whether it's a standardized test, the PSSAs, whatever. We're teaching kids to take tests. And the connectivity point, I believe, is missing. I remember every influential teacher I ever had in my life. And the way they taught was different than the teacher that taught the same class next door, but the way they taught connected with me. And I think what you have an opportunity at Notre Dame, especially, is that you have an opportunity to connect with kids. You're putting them in uncomfortable positions. You're asking them to be accountable. You're holding them accountable. You're asking them to take responsibility for their actions if they're late or anything like that. That you're telling them a set of standards, it's not we, it's not me, it's not you, it's others. And all those other tenets that are all over your building, in the walls, everywhere. These kids are walking around absorbing that. And you're giving it to them uniquely. You may be talking to a room, but I guarantee you that if there's 40 kids in there and you're giving out an order or you're telling them what to do, they're hearing it personally to that. It's not a room yell. It's an individual communication that 40 people are hearing. You know what I'm saying? And that, to me, allows you to be more impactful in someone's life than any other person in that school. And that you may say that there's other teachers and stuff, and I get that. I'm just telling you from what I've seen, and when I see the other teachers and the principals and the other coaches walk into the room, they acknowledge that connectivity that you have and how that you are the person that can get things through to these kids in a way that maybe they cannot.
Well, one of the things that I think is important is we can learn from anything. And I forget who I got this from. I've had some great mentors where you go from Al Johnson. I had a high school coach, Steve Shine, that was unbelievable. That, you know, and I've taken a little bit from all these people, Bill Jacobs, Keith Gray down at the Eagles is a good friend of mine, and just the way he works and everything. But one of the things I've learned over the years, and I really think is the niche that makes me tick, is that I get to know the kids. And I just don't get to know them in here. You got to know everything. We're in a day and age, and I know it's at the public schools and it's at the Catholic schools. Not as many coaches are teaching in the building. So they don't have that connection where you had a little problem, you could run down to the gym and talk to your football coach or talk to your lacrosse coach. He's not there. He just shows up at 2:30. Now, the disadvantage those coaches have, most of them, is they don't get to know the kids like we get to know them as teachers here. So I have to fill that void as much as I can here to get to know those kids. You know, you need to know who comes from a divorced family, who may be struggling with this, who maybe isn't getting a lunch today because they can't afford it because they're paying to come to the school. You got to know all those little things. And I'm not trying to say I know everything about every little kid, every little thing that's going on with them, but I try to. I try to get to know them. There's a saying, it's been around for years. Kids don't care how much you know till they know how much you care. And I think that's important. And I think if they know you care about them, they're going to open up quickly to you. They're going to be more receptive to what you do. And they're going to let you take them places that they want to be. Kids want structure, but they want structure that they trust. And I think that's what we try to give them here.
Look, we mentioned Robbie Bucher, and I there's very few kids that impress me the minute I meet them. It usually takes a little bit of time for me to read them, get a gauge on who they are, because kids are always a little bit closed off when they meet somebody new, right? Especially teenagers. But the minute I met Robbie, the first time I spoke at Notre Dame, he immediately resonated as the leader of that football team. Like I didn't have to ask him. I didn't care what position he played. I just knew that whatever he did, people were listening and they followed. And he's 5'6", 150 pounds. Like he's not this dynamic, monstrous human being that everybody just gravitates to because of his physical prowess. He's just a little kid that looks like, Eddie Haskell, and he just comes up to you. But his demeanor, his way of carrying himself is so confident, so true, and so real that every time I see him, I just want to hug him.
Oh, it's like today when he was in here today, getting an extra lift in on a day off. It's just perfect because we had these shirts made that on the back say grit. And Robbie Bucher's got grit. And I think that's what's missing with a lot of kids nowadays. And I think you have to teach it to them almost. And that's what we do here by challenging them, giving them challenge. We have liftoffs. We do all the things that all the other coaches are doing, but we do it with a passion. But he has grit. Now, he's going to play baseball for the Army. He's going to the Army Academy. And what a great kid. I mean, a patriot. He believes in his country. We always tell the kids, if you want to have 3 principles in your life, God, country, and family. And if you got those 3 things narrowed down and you got a really a good passion for those things, you're going to do all right. And in today's world, if you could just master those 3 things and care about people and take care of others, what else is there?
Oh, I agree. And he's just one of many that I see come into the room. Girls, and people think that the weight room is a guy thing, right? And
not here, it's not.
No. I mean, there was a girl today, and they're getting a workout in. I know she's going to play softball at Rhode Island. She was just in there just getting it done. And every time I'm in there, there's 10, 15, 20 girls in there when there's 20, 30 guys in there, and it's just this constant effort. 100. The passion for effort in that room is it's mesmerizing to me. How many kids are in there with a purpose? Like I've been to other schools where I've gone in to speak, or I've gone in to train some kids at schools, and I can tell you the effort level is 1/10, if that, of what I see daily every time I go into your weight room. And I think it has 100% to do with the fact that the person who's in there in charge of them has no clue what he's doing. There's not a strength coach to be found. It's good. Kids go in, this is what we want you to do, spend an hour in here doing something and make sure you sign in and then leave. And there's no accountability. There's no plan. There's no process in place for these kids to get better, to learn how to get better, to learn about proper exercise techniques, to learn about proper lifting mechanics, to understand how their body works and operates under stress, to give them an opportunity to control their body, not just athletically, but also what they put into it, how it works, how does it look, how do I feel? All those things are within a kid's control if somebody just shows them the blueprint on how to do that. And they want to learn that. And you're going to see kids, when I wrote this program that we talked about, I didn't know it was for a strength coach. That wasn't my plan. I'm not a strength coach. I own a gym and I train kids, but I'm not John McKenna. I don't have your credentials. I don't have your background. But I know now that what I wrote is 100% for a strength coach because you're doing it every single day. And I think if every school if anybody's listening to this, if you have a school that is underserved on the strength and conditioning side, think about this. Think about what a John McKenna would do in your school. Think about what the proper education on how to lift and how to run faster and do so safely with proper mechanics would do for your child. Imagine if you taught kids how to eat properly so that they didn't have to worry about malnutrition or childhood obesity. Imagine if you give kids the ability to have grit and determination and accountability and responsibility, and you teach them how to be strong leaders, how that would impact the bullying epidemic. If you create a world full of strong, passionate, hardworking, dedicated kids, I can guarantee you their desire to be a bully is going to be down at the bottom. And the victimization, there's not going to be as many victims because we're not producing victims anymore. We're producing strong, confident leaders.
Well, two things that I kind of want to come back on that too, that it's important to know that one, I go to clinics all over the country and I talk to other strength coaches, and I got to the point where I'm tired of hearing about, the kids nowadays, they're terrible. They don't work hard. They don't do this. They don't do that. That's your fault as a strength coach. In this room, our culture is hard work. It's about, the dedication to come in here and do things the right way. We have certain rules you follow. And there's guys like me all over the country. I mean, I've been blessed. I got hooked up with through some good friends, Rich Gray, who runs the National High School Strength Coach Association, and Gary Schofield and all those guys. I'm the Northeast Regional Director. So I have all the states in the Northeast, and they fall under me. We have some great strength directors, and we're going in the right direction because to them, this is a passion. This is a passion about educating high school coaches to do things the right way. And not just about lifting the weights like you're talking about educating their mind, bodies, and souls and doing it the right way. And I think with this organization, and this is my little plug for the association I'm with, but I'm proud of it because you know what? We all talk about, as I'm 64 years old, what is your legacy going to be? And I want to leave the strength training world better than it was when I came into it. When I came into it, without the few people I had to go to, the Al Johnsons, the Bill Jacobs, and the people like that, the Rich Grays that I could go to advice, there wasn't all this information that there is out there now. And I think it's important, guys like you, putting packages together like this. I think we can change the world. They talk about the world being a mess now, and it is. I grant you. But guess what? I'm not going to solve the problems in Washington. I don't even care about the problem in Washington. I care about what I can control, my house, my family, and my house here at Notre Dame. If I can change that and I can make that right, and everybody else has that same feeling about making their little part of the world right, then we'll change the way things are. Not till then. We got to quit worrying about changing everybody else, what they do. I'm tired of hearing, well, they did this. No, I don't really care. I worry about what we do here. And that's where I want to get to with this place. And I think we've gotten to that point. I mean, I'm blessed to have a great religion department here. We work together with them. I've got a priest here, Father Jason, that we do our Bible studies together. We're just rocking the world right now and doing things the right way, and I couldn't be prouder of it. And I thank God every day that I've been allowed to be involved in it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think everything you just said is spot on. And, you know, the National High School Strength Coach Association is the blueprint for educating school districts and helping to spread the word that the position isn't this taboo weight head, meathead, weight slinging gym rat. That's not what the position is. The position is molder of human beings, the person that has the ability to have an access point that most do not. And it's a special type of human being. There's a personality profile for a John McKenna. You know, when I came out and spoke to the organization at their out in Pittsburgh, I challenged everybody in that room that if they are not considering themselves the most influential person in their school and the most influential mentor within that school, they're missing the boat. And thankfully, a couple of the strength coaches have reached out to me to learn more about the program. And one of them at Mac High School out in Pittsburgh, Bill Marnich, is actually instituting the program.
Right.
And he is going to be the first person that's going to take what you and I do every single day, and the program that you and I hopefully one day will join together, and we'll be traveling the world teaching people how to do this in their school. That's how it's got to start. It's got to start with one seed, right? You can't plant a garden without planting a seed. And I think that's what we're doing right now. And I think the future is bright for that. The ability to access kids and be a positive influence in their life and show them as an additional influencer outside of the home, that person in the school that has that their best interest at heart and wants for them as much as they want for themselves, if not more, is vital. Now, I want to quick transition because I know Nick's watching right now, Nick Maruka, and I want to talk about him because he's one of those guys that when you look at an impact that you can have on one human being, and you think about where you started with Nick and his disabilities or lack of ability to do some things because of a disease that he has, and how he's evolved and now what he's doing as a profession. Let's talk about Nick a little bit.
Yeah, Nick is a very, very special young man. And I'd like to say that I did something special with him, but I didn't treat him any different. He had that on his head. I am a special person. So I didn't treat him any different, which is what he needed. He would fall down. I'd laugh at him and get him back up, and we'd go back to work. He had a lot to do with it. His effort, my knowledge, and we made him a strong young man who now not only was strong strength-wise, but confidence-wise. You're not going to find a better person than him. Again, all you can ask for.
We lost you there for a second, Coach. Something happened to the video feed on Be Live TV. So we'll do a little quick synopsis. Nick is one of the hardest working guys. He's now a strength coach, right?
Absolutely. He's helping out at 100 Central. He's up doing some graduate work and everything. And I think he's going to make somebody a great strength coach because he gets the total package. Because he is the total package. Because he's come from, where nothing. Everybody gave up on him. And I got to give his parents a lot of credit. What everybody else was saying, put him in this, take care of him. Let's just hug him. He's out, mate. They were making him play T-ball and run from first to second base. And he'd fall down and get back up. So they had a lot to do with it too. So, and you have to understand that. But I just followed right up on it. And we made him work hard in here. And then he got the bug. And then once you get the bug in here, you just keep going. And I think that's important. Again, everybody is special. In their own way. You're special, I'm special, but in our own different way, everybody's special. I mean, one of the blessings I've had, and I think the world of you, and you know that, but one of the best things you did for me is having Danny Bader on. I read all three of his books probably in 3 weeks and everything, and he brought up something in one of his books, and I forget which one it was, and it's an amazing stat. 70% of the people in the world are doing a job that they're not happy with. Go get another job. if you're not happy with what you're doing, you're only on this world small time. And, that dash is only small time. And if you're not out taking your platform and making a difference, go get another job. Be happy. Everybody deserves to be happy in this world.
Danny Bader has been so Danny and I've never met him. We've never physically met. We've talked on the phone. We obviously did the podcast. We will be having lunch here shortly. And I wasn't expecting what I got from Danny, not just from the podcast, but after reading his books and understanding who he is, the depth of his journey, and from being electrocuting and dying. And you would think that, oh my God, I'm alive, I'm not dead. That would be some, God, angels. Ah! No, he went into a really dark place because of guilt, because of survivor's guilt, because of why am I here? And he came out of that, and his faith is so strong, and the way he writes, when I wrote my book, I wrote a book about my life in the first person, telling the story of my life with my brother. And
which everybody should know what a good book that is, because I've only read that about 10 times.
Thank you.
Every time I'm looking for inspiration, I just grab that thing. And we're going to just a little thing here. We're going to bring Matt and Danny to Notre Dame to talk to our faculty coming up here in March. So I'm excited about that and everything. But I'm sorry, Matt, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, thank you. I do appreciate that. But for me, writing my book was, Danny wrote his story as a fiction, which I don't even know how you do that. I don't know how you take your story and then give it other people's names and write it that way. But it's so brilliant to me because I didn't know that he did that before I started reading them. And the way that he writes just captured my soul, and it just really spoke to me. And I know it did you as well.
Well, not only that, but if you read all three books, he ties into different books and
every one of them,
different characters that you really understand it, even though they're different names. And it was really neat for me that way. I
learned something unique from each one of those books. From Back from Heaven's Front Porch, which is the story of his electrocution and how that all went out and how he went through that dark period and all that. And then Abraham's Diner, which was the last one I read. Amazing book, short but amazing book. And that gives a lot of life lessons about being present and being involved in life and not letting life just happen. And then I Met Jesus from Miller Lite was just by far my favorite because
it's my favorite too. It
spoke to me in a way that I just thought that God is Jesus, and I don't want to go too far into the faith into this but is Jesus in my life, and do I have a relationship with him? And the way that he had a relationship with Jay, the character in the book, and how Jay was revealed to be who he was, I was just like, I've had that in my life. I have people that are like that in my life. And I've had Jesus in my life in moments where I thought I was alone. And it's important for me to have those validations. And those books helped me. And Danny is, without ever meeting this guy, has really helped me with some clarity. And I actually used I did a talk for Reading High School basketball program. And they bring me in every year when the coach sees that the mindset isn't right or the team chemistry is not right. And he brings me in to do an inspirational talk to try to get these guys to love each other. And I used a line from the book, which was, everybody says hope, 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 hope. I hope this is going to happen. Hold on one second. I got to get a drink. And he says that you should stop hoping and trust. Trust that it's going to happen. And I think that's such a poignant transition of mindset. I don't hope anymore. I trust that things are going to be the way they're going to be. I got that email today that I didn't get my TEDx talk. Right? And I already knew it wasn't going to happen. I felt it coming. And I told my wife last night. And what happened a minute and a half after that email, Coach?
Well, Father Mike was in here working out, and he had talked to me that he was looking for a speaker in March. And I said, whoa, I got the guy right up here. And we hooked you two up, and you're going to be speaking at St. John's in March. And sometimes you just got to follow the path. When you talk about Danny's book with the trust, that's the thing that hit me. And then you talk about on a dollar bill? What's on all money? What's on there? In God we trust. We have to trust each other first. And that's an important thing. With our relationship or anybody I get involved with, the first thing I need to know is, can I trust him? And then the friendship evolves from that. But if you can't trust somebody, time to get rid of them. You don't need them. You don't need them in your inner circle. And that's such a key word anymore.
And I use a lot when I mentor kids, and it's very similar in its message is, I tell kids all the time, if it's not helping you, it's hurting you. That's a very clear define. If whatever it is you're doing isn't helping you grow, helping you become better, helping you help someone else, if it's not helping you, it's ultimately hurting you. And I think that if we think about life in those contexts, whether it's working with kids in a school as a strength coach, everything you're doing every day and everything they're doing with you and for themselves and for others is to help. Nothing there is hurting them. It's all moving towards helping themselves so that they can help other people.
And that's important, because when we're in here, you got to understand reality. The strength world is a nature of failure. It's good when you fail. So you've got to get the kids to understand that it's better to fail. Everybody wants to be safe. They can do 3 sets of 45 pounds. That's nice and everything, but you're not growing. So if you don't fail, you're not going to grow. Well, that's life. If you don't take chances, and we've all taken those chances, and we've had the door slammed in our faces, like you felt today. And then you know what? Why that happens, and if you trust in the plan, before that door even made that loud noise, another door was opening for you today. And I think you got to be aware of that, because sometimes what I think we do, we get the door slammed in our face, we stick our head up our butt, and we can't see the other doors opening up. And that's what I think we have to be. We have to be saying, look, it's not meant to be. I wasn't meant to do this. But there's another reason. When I was a cop and I got sick and I couldn't longer become a cop, I was devastated. And talk about putting my head up my butt. I was trying to take care of my family. Within 3 months, out of the blue comes a guy, Chappie Moore from here, hires me as a strength coach here to coach football with them. And my life has changed forever. And it's the best thing that ever happened to me. And it was his plan. I just didn't like his plan at first, because I thought I didn't know where it was going. But sometimes I think you have to trust the plan. There we are. Trust again.
I've always, I can't say always, for 13 years after my brother died, I didn't see a damn door, a light, a doorknob, nothing. I was blinded to everything. I just sort of lived in this shitty state. But now since 2002, like I see everything now. Like I see the opportunities. I see when one door opens, another one closes, or another one closes, another one opens. I just see it happening, and I don't get as upset or worried or stressed about the individual moments, because I know that when you write a book about your life and you see how everything sort of connects together, that one moment individually didn't really mean anything. It's a piece of the puzzle of your life, of your journey, of your legacy that you're going to leave, but it's not individually that big of a deal.
Well, I know that we're supposed to be talking about strength training here, but I think that people got to hear this, because one of the biggest things I got out of your book, and you're going to need to tell the little part of it, I guess, and try to just, is when you got the blanket. Unbelievable to me is when you got that blanket. I'm not too proud to admit that, the tears are coming down and everything, but tell us a little, here I am turning the table on you now. Tell us a little bit about the blanket.
So, I was very angry and guilt-ridden for a long time after my brother died. And I didn't know how to get out of it. It wasn't like I was unaware. I knew what was going on, and I knew how it was affecting me, and I just couldn't get out of it. I didn't know how to get myself out of this cycle. And I wasn't a good father. I was not a good husband. I was present, meaning physically, but emotionally I had nothing. And that was that way for 13 years. And it wasn't easy on my wife, and it wasn't fair to my daughter. And for whatever reason, and I had abandoned my faith. I had zero interest in God. I had zero interest in anything to do with anything other than I would rather be dead than going through what I was going through. And in 2002, after my son was born, which I didn't want to even have another child because I knew how I was not doing well with the first one. But my wife, she's brilliant in the fact that she knows who I am and she knows what I need. And so we decided to have another child, and we found out it was a boy. And I ended up naming him after my brother, Andy. And a few months after he was born, we had family over, and my grandmother was one of the people that came over. And she handed me a gift, and in the box was a quilt. And I'm not a quilt guy. I've never owned a quilt in my life, and nor did I ever want one. So I folded it back up and I handed it back to my grandmother, and she quickly handed it back to me. And she has this look that she gives when she's not happy. And I saw it, and she said, "Will you just look at it?" So I did. And for anybody that knows the story of my brother's death, my mom and stepdad were on vacation, and I was staying with friends working at my job. And I just graduated high school, and my brother was staying with my grandmother working at his job. And he died in a car accident, and the week that my parents were on vacation. And for whatever reason, for 13 years, my grandmother kept my brother's clothes. And instead of giving, I don't know why she didn't give them to me when my daughter was born, but she turned my brother's clothes that she had kept into a quilt, and she gave it to me that day. And that changed my life. So why did you do this to me? Damn you.
I'm good at that. You know?
I went down into my basement and that night, and I wrote a lot of memories about my brother. When I came up the next morning, yes, I wrote all night, and I saw light coming through the kitchen window for the first time. And I saw color, I saw everything. And I had 26,000 words of memories written about my brother. So what do you do with 26,000 words? I had no clue. So I called my mother, and I said, I have wrote all night and cried all night, and I have 26,000 words of memories about Andy. What do I do? And she said, you write a book. So that was the beginning of the book. And the thing that saved my life. So.
And I say to people all the time, and I'm sorry I put you in that spot, but that meant so much to me when I read it. But I'm a big believer in, and we all have scars. We are who we are because of the scars we have. And it's what we do with those scars and how we recover from them. And I think that's what happens to a lot of people. They don't look at those scars and they don't recover from them. And it takes a moment like the blanket and everything for people to come back and realize how lucky they are. How lucky they are, how lucky you are to still be here, to be able to tell your brother's story, to tell your story, that maybe somebody else will never go through this again. And I know you well enough that means a lot to you, and why you're telling your story and why we get involved in things we do, because if we can give a little bit of hope, a little bit of something to every kid that comes through here, and I can make it easier on them and maybe change their life just a little bit, then I've done my job. I've done what I was put on this earth to be, to help others.
And I think one thing I gained from all this, from the whole process of life, is the value of purpose. Like, what is my purpose? Like, really defining who I am and why I do what I do, and what is the thing that drives me, that makes me want to be me. And I think the fact that when my brother died, I thought I lost my purpose. Like, I was his protector. That was my role. And I didn't know. I was trying to find it, and it's weird. obviously it's so much easier when you're Monday morning quarterbacking and
right.
seeing how it all played out.
But you didn't know.
It already happened, so I can tell you I didn't know, but I knew what I was trying to do was to substitute the protective gene that I had for my brother by going in the military, by being a cop, by doing all the things that I was doing. I was trying to find that purpose again, and it wasn't working. It wasn't satisfying that need. And then after the whole quilt thing and coming out of that I realized that my purpose now is to utilize what I went through and what my brother's life meant to me and how his life impacted so many other people. And then the book, how I can put that all together and put it in a way that allows me to go out and serve others in a way that I believe is fulfilling my purpose, which is to share my brother's story, share what I hope is an inspirational story with others, and allow them to see that maybe they're not alone. Maybe what they're going through isn't just unique to them. And it may be the instance, what it is, the moment is unique to them, but the process they're going through is not. And that there are others that have been through it. And, when you come out the other side of that darkness, that it's very bright and brilliant. And it's so much clearer and more vibrant now than it ever was at any other time in my life. And had it not been for my brother's death and had it not been for that 13-year period of darkness, I would not be doing what I'm doing today.
It was neat because when I asked you to come up and speak up in Pittsburgh when we ran a regional clinic up there, and I was in charge of getting some of the speakers and everything, and I wanted you to come up. And one of the first things that came up, they said, well, these guys come in, they're expecting to hear about strength training and everything else. I said, trust me on this. Please trust me on this. So when you were speaking and I was looking around the room and everybody was on the edge of their seat, and they were sucking right in and they were listening to every word, I'm going, yes, this is what it's about. It's about the total package, and the message you deliver is just so powerful. And we all have those messages, but you bring it out, and I don't want to sound corny, but I was so proud of you. I was proud that it worked, but I was proud of you being able to tell your story in front of a bunch of peers, guys, that do the same thing that you do. It was really neat to watch.
Well, it was, I owe a lot to you. You've been a disciple of Max Out. You've been somebody that's been a big proponent of what we're doing and what we're trying to do. And thankfully you bought into it, and it's been working for your school and with your program and your athletes. But you've also helped me as a human by caring about me and the things that are important to me and what I'm trying to do. So for that, I just want to say thanks, man.
Well, I appreciate it. But if it wasn't for that little guy, and I know we got to give him a shout out here. If it wasn't for Dennis, coming down, he was the nicest guy in the world, but he was persistent. It was like that mosquito at a picnic you couldn't get rid of. And he kept coming in. He said, just come up. You got to see this. It'll make a difference. And when I went up there, I was blown away. What the tower does for us is unbelievable. It makes a difference of who we are in here, what we can do for the kids, the safety factor, how much stronger we are. I mean, when you talk about it, and when you come in our room, when we say we got 30 kids going 400 pounds parallel, our kids go parallel when they squat. It's about being technicians and everything. And this tower allows us to get stronger. And it's been one of what I call it a difference maker. It's been a difference maker for our program.
And the thing I'm the most proud of when I talk to strength coaches and people that are using our equipment is the fact that you mentioned the safety, but also the injury reduction.
And that's been because, and you know what it also does? For years, I struggled trying to get females to squat. They were scared to get under that bar and everything. Now with the tower, and you've got to really understand the way the tower works and everything, but it's a safety factor where if you're going down, you're pre-measured, and if they have to get out of the lift and they have to walk out of it, it's no longer falling on you, maybe going to hit you in the neck or anything. It just hangs there. And it's beautiful. It's a beautiful sight to see. And once you demonstrate, especially to the females, what it does for the females, it gets them into racks. What it does for the males, and I'll never forget the first one we had here. We had a guy that was squatting right about 450. He went up to 500 pounds in a week because there was no longer the fear of dropping the bar anymore. And once you lose that fear and you're not worried about failing, and there it is. And his number just went up. The other day, from what we do in here, we had a kid, Ryan Monaco, that I was so proud of. He did 650 on the trap bar. And these are numbers that we've never seen before, and it's all because of what we're doing on the tower.
Well, I can't thank you enough, and I know that long term we're not going to ever separate because we got too many things working in the same direction, you and I. And I'm thankful for your belief in my business. I'm thankful for your belief in my book and me as a person. I'm thankful for our friendship. I'm thankful for what you do at Notre Dame because it means something. It's so important that the world understands the value of your role, the strength coach role, and what you've done with it. This needs to be in every school across the country. We need to have a John McKenna in every school across the country. And for me, what I wanted people to get out of this, and just as if with every other show, I've never written a single question down. I literally have one question, and we didn't even ask it. I told you I was going to ask you, why'd you become a strength coach? We never even asked that question. But the conversation just becomes what it is. And I want the world to know you. And I want the world to know your heart, and I want them to know that how much you care, and it's not because of your paycheck. God forbid, if you thought that people think you're getting rich being a strength coach, you know, when you put in all the hours you put in, when it all narrows down, you're probably making $6 an hour. It's not a get rich business, but it certainly is.
I'll give you my answer to that though, real quick here. I'm the richest man in the world because of the relationships I have with guys like you, who are now my brother, with the kids I have in the extended family. That stuff, guess what? When it's time for me to go hook slide into my grave, because that's the way I'm going, guess what? They can't take those memories away from me. Can't take them away. So I'm the richest man in the world. And that's what people have to understand. This is a profession that will give back so much if you give so much.
I agree. And I think that's a great way to end. And I think everybody knows who you are now. And I'm blessed to have been able to share that with you. With everyone.
I'm blessed tonight.
So everybody, thank you so much for watching another episode of Two Dates in a Dash podcast. I'm your host, Matt Cubbler. My special guest today was the incomparable John McKenna. And I just wanted to thank everybody for tuning in. And for God's sakes, go out and be kind to one another.